Hi, this is Dr. John Powers with the Aesthetic Business Institute, and like many of you, this is my new reality. This is my home office, working from home during this coronavirus crisis, and I hope that you are doing okay and able to be productive and effective while working from home. What I wanted to do today was just very quickly give some best practices and some tips from working from home. A lot of us have had a day or two here and there, maybe a big snowstorm, something else. Maybe we don't feel 100% and we decide to work from home, and so forth. And those 1 or 2 days, um, you know, easy to sort of get by and get done with what we needed to do, and then get back to the office quickly. This seems like that is not the case. It's sort of an unknown how long we are being asked to stay at home and as much as possible, and sort of self quarantine and stay away from other folks, social distance as we are being told. So I hope that I can just present to you a few tips to stay at home. And the idea will be there'll be some other videos that will be more um, practical and specific to the aesthetic medical industry. I highly recommend creating a schedule. Use your calendar in your phone or on your laptop or what do you normally use, but create sort of a work hours calendar where you sort of distinguish these are the hours I'm going to work, so that when it's over, you can shut down your computer, that your laptop is not open, uh, you know, 17 hours a day. And, setting barriers is very important at this time, because when you're working from home for an extended period of time, it's very easy to overwork, believe it or not. Many people sort of do it out of fear that you're not getting enough done, and it sort of feels like a vacation day, if you will, or a snow day, as we talked about, that you're home and maybe you are in your sweats or something like that, and so you sort of feel guilty that you're not getting your work done. So the other thing I'd like to suggest is how important it is to still have a transition when work is over, meaning when you have reached your end of your workday, to close your laptop, to shut it down, to go outside, to do something with your family, um, to do something for that transition. Most of us are used to ending our workday, getting in the car, driving home, even if we have a very short commute or a longer commute. That time in the car serves as sort of a psychological transition. And it's important to still do that at home, to have that delineation between work and home. And so find something you can do to sort of signify that this is the end of your workday, now that we don't have that commute. It's also important too that you take some breaks during your work time, just as you might do during your normal workday. I recommend that you still take that time while you're home. Go outside at lunchtime, go for a walk, get a little exercise if possible during your lunch break. We have distractions at the office too. We know that, and yet we're used to sort of how to block those out and how to work around those and not let those deter us from getting our work done. At home, it's a little different. Again, a regular schedule will help, so it's sort of not like you're piecing together your work in between all these other things you normally do when you are used to being home at night or on the weekends. Home distractions are different. There are family. Some people are home with their kids as schools have closed. In most, if not many, if not all places, there are pets. There are distractions with, maybe it's media things, TV, so forth. There are distractions of chores and laundry and doing the dishes and things like that normally when we're home, like I said, at nights or on weekends, are easy to, some things that we have to do and just jump in to do. And yet if we're working from home, we don't want those things to constantly distract us. Now, under normal circumstances, for people who work from home permanently, which is a larger and continually growing part of our workforce, a lot of times I've talked to folks who will take a part of their day and go to a public place. They'll go to a Starbucks or a Dunkin' Donuts or even a library just to break it up a little bit and get out, be around people a little bit while they're doing their work. Obviously, that's not an option during our time of social distance. So so it's even more important to sort of work through the distractions at home. I know it's a challenge, and especially because for many, maybe a spouse or partner is home working from home also. So there's a couple people in the house. Maybe you have, I have a college age child who's home doing her schoolwork here. I have a son who works and who came home from the city also. And so we are all sort of juggling our schedules to find rooms when we have video conferences to attend, and not distracting each other or making noise if we're recording a video, that sort of thing. And so it's important to avoid those distractions. And many times you can control those distractions at home a little easier than even at work. Next is to establish some clear communication goals and objectives with your colleagues, your boss, your employees, people who work for you, so that there is everything is very clear and there's no misunderstandings. It's very easy when you're isolated and you're home and your colleagues are home, or your boss is working from home, to sort of one person is moving along in one way and the expectation is different. And so where in an office setting that can be cleared up as someone walks by and you chat about it for 30 seconds, or you're in a meeting together, or that sort of stuff is easy to take care of in an office. So right off the start, it's important to ask how your team prefers to communicate. Is it via email? Do they want a phone call? Do they prefer, some offices like ours uses Slack or some sort of instant messaging service like that. So just in general, what is the best way for people to communicate and get information to one another? Also, if there's an urgent situation, now again, urgent is however you define that, but it's, if you need a more immediate answer to a question, what is the best way to gather that? So, again, establishing this ahead of time. Like, for example, we're going to communicate through Slack. If it's a general, basic email will suffice, we'll do that. But if there's an urgent question, then text or call to make sure you get that information right away. And then the other important thing is to know that it's very easy to just be sort of passive about this and sit back and say, like, well, I don't want to bother people. I know everyone's working and they're home and I don't want to do that. But it's up to you to be proactive. It's up to each of us to be proactive and not to wait to say, like, well, I'll wait till I hear back, or I'll wait till I'm sure they'll be in touch soon and then we can move forward on this project. But reach out. You have established hopefully clear communication methods, and be proactive with that, so that there's no misunderstandings along the way. Next, I want to just say how important it is that we still socialize while we are social distancing, and that means to still engage your coworkers. If it's people on a personal level, in the office, there's small talk. How was your weekend? Or what are you doing this weekend? How was this, concert you went to? That sort of thing. And it's important that, how's your family? All that stuff is still very, very important. While it's a little extra effort, not a lot, but having a video conference, even if it's once a week, with your boss, with your colleagues, with your employees, a one-on-one meeting, so you can see each other's facial expressions and hand gestures and so forth. Those are important, and so I encourage you to still reach out, have some fun. Share pictures on Slack of your pets, um, and so forth, as we've been doing in our office. Those sort of things are important to keep going. You also want to make sure that you have clear goals and objectives of what you're all trying to be accomplished, so that productivity maintains some normalcy and everyone is still able to do that. That all the stakeholders that are involved know what's going on, whether you have a cloud-based task-oriented program, or whatever you use to monitor productivity and goals and milestones, that those keep moving along, and they're actually even more important now that people are working from remote locations. So and again, I recommend highly that communication overkill is better. If you're, confirming something, reaching out, is this what we're doing next? Should I work on this before this? Just make sure that we all understand that we are responsible for each other. But it's important that when you set these meetings, that there's an agenda, that there are clear and concise objectives as far as what you're trying to achieve during this meeting. And the video conferencing software in this day and age is just really, really solid. I also, in addition to this role, teach. It's at a few universities, and so during this time where all students are home, we've been having fairly normal class meetings through Zoom, where there are 24, 25 students and myself, and we have discussions and lecture and PowerPoint and videos, and very much just like normal. So I think that's really important. The other thing too is, just like we were recently discussing here, before the meeting starts, just like normal, if you gathered in a conference room, there's chit chat, there's banter going back and forth, and I think that's still important with video conferencing. It's important to also address how we can eliminate or at least reduce any potential conflicts. Knowing that while we are working from home and we're communicating more than usual through email and Slack and instant message texting, whatever it is, that it's easy to misinterpret tone and sentiment through these communication methods. And so you can't, other than video conferencing, you can't see facial expressions and body language. You can't hear the tone of the words. So if something's said as a sarcastic moment, a joke, in person is nothing, and if it's typed, it can be misunderstood. And so that's important that everyone's aware of that online, and is careful to make sure that intent and sentiment is expressed properly during this time while we're working at home. If there are any issues, then certainly I would recommend a video conference. Again, just like when you're in the office, most serious things or most misunderstandings should be dealt with face to face if possible, as opposed to an email or an instant message or a text. And the same thing here. I would recommend just a short video conference. Say let's talk about what there seems to be a misunderstanding here. Let's get this straightened out, and we'll get back to work, just to make sure that is clear. And then just very lastly, just an encouragement. I know, we all know this is a very, very challenging time. The changes that we've all had to go through with the fear of the unknown, with the economics of what is happening here. And so I think it's normal for everyone to be a little bit stressed and anxious and on edge. And so anything that can be done to sort of increase communication and expectations, and to be an active communicator on your team will lead to success. Having clear milestones, clear expectations for yourself individually, for your team, that your boss understands everything you're working on, that your employees understand what you're asking them to do, to have frequent check-ins with all involved and your stakeholders. And again, over communication, I would recommend at this time as opposed to under communication. So I hope this has been helpful. We'll be back with some more videos soon. And stay safe and healthy, and looking forward to catching up with you again soon. Take care.